Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the origins, the frankly brutal humor, and the lasting legacy of one of folklore's absolute most fascinating characters, Anansi the spider. We'll be using Laura Gibbs' incredibly curated collection of stories to really uncover the dark, trickster heart of this legendary figure.
So, we've got a really unique format here. Every single microtale in our source text is exactly 100 words long. No more, no less. And this constraint creates this rapid-fire rhythm that completely mirrors Anansi's own fast-talking, quick-thinking nature. It's literally folklore delivered at breakneck speed, where every single word has to count.
And that provocative question right there really frames our entire character study today. Because if you're expecting a typical moralizing hero who always does the right thing, well, you are definitely in the wrong place. Anansi is something else entirely, operating completely outside the bounds of conventional morality.
Section 1. Meet Anansi the trickster. Origins and character.
Anansi isn't just a spider, you know? He's this vital cultural touchstone. He's an African trickster figure whose stories actually survived the horrific Middle Passage, brought to places like Jamaica, Antigua, and Grenada by enslaved African storytellers. In these harsh new worlds, Anansi became the ultimate symbol of survival, a tiny, seemingly powerless creature who uses pure wit to absolutely dominate those far larger and stronger than himself.
And you can see his complexity right away when you look at his traits. Cunning, cruel, ingenious, greedy. Anansi is just a complete bundle of contradictions. He's this talented musician and magician who can compel anyone to dance, and he's a remarkably fearless survivor. But at the exact same time, he's phenomenally greedy and unbelievably reckless. He will just as easily play the fiddle for a laughing crowd as he will betray his own family just to get an extra bite of food. And when you jump into the beginning of his 100-word adventures, it's clear these fast-paced stories leave absolutely zero room for remorse. Anansi acts fast, and usually with devastating consequences for whoever happens to be standing nearby.
Section 2. Cunning, cruel, and greedy. With friends like these. So how does his mind actually work? Well, he crafts these elaborate, deadly cons step by step. Take his recipe for monkey, an infamous trick played on his so-called friend. Anansi fills a pot of water, puts it on the fire, gets in, and tells Monkey that when the water feels too hot, he just has to shout the safe word, bunya. Monkey pulls Anansi out perfectly on cue, but then it's Monkey's turn in the pot, and when Monkey starts desperately shouting, bunya, Anansi just calmly ignores him, saying, no bunya yet, because, when Monkey was cooked, Anansi ate him up. The deadpan, dark humor of these tales relies on rapid-fire punchlines exactly like this. There's no mourning, no grand lesson learned, just a totally cheerful, brutal conclusion where a best friend becomes dinner. Section 3. Anansi versus the big cats, the ultimate rivalries. This dynamic is where Anansi truly shines. It's the classic contrast. Anansi, small and physically weak, versus massive predators like tiger and lion. He establishes his dominance not with muscles, but by constantly outsmarting them. Because while tiger and lion are immensely strong, they are also remarkably gullible. They are quite literally the ultimate marks for Anansi's cons. You know, one of the absolute best examples of this is the riding horse trick. So Anansi starts a rumor that Tiger is just his father's riding horse. A furious Tiger confronts him, demanding he tell everyone the truth. But Anansi, he feigns this severe, dramatic illness, groaning that he's simply too weak to walk outside. A gullible Tiger actually offers to carry him. So Anansi throws on a saddle and spurs, claiming they're just to keep him from falling off, and literally rides the apex predator through town, publicly proving his boast. Which sets up a recurring, almost tragic theme. Tiger's endless gullibility. Like, what do you think happened after Anansi convinced a starving tiger that they should take turns hiding in a covered cooking pot? Anansi goes first, knocks, and Tiger lets him out. Then, Tiger gets in. Anansi cooked Tiger and ate him. It's another brutal, deadpan punchline. Tiger knocks to get out, but Anansi simply says, got you now. The massive apex predator is reduced to nothing more than a meal. Brains conquer brawn once again.
Section 4. The trickster gets tricked. Karma and defeat.
Because the illusion of Anansi's invincibility doesn't last forever,
If we look at this win-loss ledger, a really fascinating pattern emerges. He easily defeats big predators like tiger and lion and trusting friends like monkey. But when he goes up against individuals who are either biologically unsuited to his tricks or who think exactly like he does, Anansi loses. Specifically, he meets his match in his own son and the surprisingly clever turtle.
Let's talk about his brilliantly named son for a second. Cunning more than father. Anansi repeatedly tries to murder his own child, even enlisting Tiger to help. But the son uses Anansi's own playbook against him. Eavesdropping, misdirection, he drops a bag of stinging ants on an ambushing tiger from a coconut tree. And later, when Tiger is meant to throw the son into the sea inside a coffin, the son tricks a passing shepherd into taking his place. He survives because he simply out-tricks the trickster.
And then there's Turtle's dive. Turtle actually exploits Anansi's physical limitations and, of course, his blinding greed. After outsmarting Anansi in a race, Turtle makes a bet for all of Anansi's bank money on a deep diving contest. Anansi eagerly agrees, completely forgetting a crucial biological fact: spiders can only float. Turtle dives deep, waits, and easily takes all the money.
Section 5. The Spider's Lasting Legacy. Explaining the natural world.
Because these stories weren't just for entertainment, they are etiological myths. They provide these wonderfully imaginative, humorous explanations for why animals look and behave the way they do today. Why does Anansi the spider have a white belly? Well, because he foolishly held on to the guts of a running cow and got dragged over sharp rocks. Why don't dogs wear clothes? Because dog tore Anansi's borrowed fancy pants while dancing way too hard. Why is the John Crow bird bald? Because a jealous Anansi poured hot porridge on his head at a party. It is an entire universe shaped entirely by Anansi's chaos and petty grievances.
And of course, there's Anansi's constant need to run away from the consequences of his own actions. In one brilliant story, after a furious goat corners Anansi's family on a rooftop, Anansi commands a gullible tiger to build a soft trash heap below. Anansi uses this to escape the wrath of the animals he's wronged, scurrying high up into the rafters where it's safe.
Which leads directly to this: spiders stay up on the roof even now. This single line perfectly reveals why these folklore traditions are so incredibly enduring. It connects the listener's everyday observations, just looking up and seeing a tiny spider sitting quietly in the corner of a ceiling, to these epic, chaotic tales of survival, murder, and trickery. It really makes you view the world a little differently, doesn't it? If a creature as small as Anansi can weave webs of absolute chaos that literally shape the natural world, leaving birds bald and big cats humiliated, what seemingly small, tricky forces are quietly shaping your reality today? Keep your eyes open and hey, maybe look up at the ceiling every now and then. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.